So have you re-listened to any of the shows from Spring Tour?
Yeah. You?
I've been picking and choosing. You
What
know,
have you been listening to?
well, I listened to the third night of the Greek
Okay.
because, like, you know, people who didn't come to the Hollywood Bowl but went to the Greek were all like, "But what about the third night of the Greek?"
Yeah. What about the third night of the Greek?
So I was like, "All right, I like hadn't really listened to it. Like I'd listened to part of it, you know, the stream, but like on Wednesday night after being there for 2 nights, I really wasn't paying too much attention. I mean, it had moments. Like most Fish shows have moments, you know. Not just most Fish shows. I'd say all Fish shows have moments. You know, there have been none that come to mind that are like full blah. You know,
Right.
and you know, very critical people had been giving the third night of the Greek praise. And to be honest, you know, like they played well, you know, it just so happened that they played pretty well every night of this spring tour.
What about Seattle?
Seattle, I only watched streams.
Me too.
I haven't re-listened to it yet.
Yeah, there's something different to like going back and re-listening versus the stream. For some reason, the stream, I don't know why. It's less, I guess because it's happened. I don't know. It's just less, like my ear is less tuned in.
See, I'm like not a couch tour guy,
I know. Me neither.
but
Let's talk about this spring run.
sure,
Let's pull out
10,000 feet,
10,000 feet, 30,000 feet,
bird's eye.
bird's eye view. These guys are playing so incredibly well together. It is crazy. Okay, Seattle, sure, warm up, great shows. Berkeley, some sick moments. Hollywood Bowl, it's some exceptional moments. We talked about Hollywood Bowl last week. You know, we've had some time to continue to cool down, continue to re-listen. The musicianship that is happening right now is absolutely insane. I think that Trey's guitar tone, let's start there for a moment. His guitar tone right now is so dialed in. It's just excellent. You know, sometimes he's kicking in a loop. Sometimes he's doing some super shreddy. Sometimes it's so melodic. Like, I don't know what he's got dialed in, but it is almost as good a guitar tone as I've ever heard him have right now.
I think it is definitely in the upper echelon of what has gone down in the last 20 years. For sure. You know, like what Trey has done in the 3.0 era there has been progression.
Right. It's been an evolution. Tinkering.
Because for the first like 10 years, no, maybe not 10 years, but there were times in 3.0 where it was feeling a little bit stale in a sense that we'd grown up with a certain expectation of a Machine Gun Trey.
Absolutely.
And with the revitalization of this band in 2009, we didn't necessarily get that.
The fast fingers.
Fast fingers, machine gun style, rippity-doo-dah day.
I agree.
Right?
Oh, you're right.
And I think that it has taken a long time for the jaded vets of the 90s, and some have not even come around, and have super high expectations of getting that, like, Machine Gun coming back out at some point, and it's not gonna.
Like the super shreddy peaks. Like,
yeah,
same shred peaks.
And there's semblances of them here and there in certain songs that require it.
Yeah, I mean, look, the speed at which he played in the, 95, 90s, in the 90s was absolutely insane. And you're right, it was an adjustment in 3.0 to go like, okay, not what I remember. What is it now?
And I think that's really what's taken me personally some time, like over the last, I don't know, has 14 years.
Yeah.
Of course, there have been moments where that machine gun shreddy jamming was something that I thought maybe was missing, but now they've evolved into something new where that's not necessarily the music that they're going to be writing, but they found a way to evoke the same amount of joy by doing these soaring, kind of slower and more melodic type of jams.
The word that comes to mind for me is patience. I've said it before, but like the jams are so patient now, and it doesn't mean they don't build. Obviously, it doesn't mean that there's not that classic Fish tension and release. But you're right that the fingers aren't always there. Now they show up every now and again, right?
Sure.
And there's sections of music that we all know and love that, you know, when we kind of get to them, we're like, fingers crossed, you know, like, are the fingers going to keep up with what's in our head, you know, what we expect? But his tone right now and the way that he like layers and loops, and I don't even know what the right terminology is, but the amount of noise that he's creating and this craftsmanship he seems to have over his pedals and his guitar. I agree with you when you're saying that it has supplanted, I don't want to say replaced, but, you know, the machine gun fingers aren't there. That's, you know, we're living in a different world, but that there is like so much there, and he has so much patience, and he is so skilled that the tension and release and the building and the sound and the tone is as good as it's ever been in so many, like, we're spoiled.
Yeah.
This guy is absolutely shredding in a different way than the 90s, but absolutely, completely destroying the guitar.
Yeah. I mean, back then it was all just motorboat.
It was frenetic.
And now it's love and light, which is fine, you know, because they're both enjoyable, and the demographic has grown and changed just as the band has changed. And I think that it's just like the thoughts of a jaded vet who are still going to see the band, you know, often and have certain expectations. It's just funny that they maybe, and maybe I'm wrong, you know, a lot of people that have been seeing this band for 30 plus years have come to the realization that they're not going to get 95 fingers.
Here's my experience. Everyone that I know as a real human being is having the time of their life right now. Okay? Anyone I speak to that's like person to person, someone I know, someone I've known for years or whatever, is just like, wow, I had my face blown off, like this was the best weekend ever, or the best run, or like, you know, like those are the words that I'm hearing come out of people's mouths. When you go on to .net or whatever, or you're in Reddit, or you're even in the reviews on the Live Fish app, that guy comes out, whenever that guy is, who's like, you know, he's better 100 years ago, man, this one time in band camp when I went to whatever. That guy is still around. If that's the guy you're talking about, he's still on the internet. Yeah. I don't know if he's going to shows, man. I think people at the shows, I haven't heard someone that I personally know really complain about lack of creativity where these guys are right now.
100%. Same. I haven't. I'm just speaking more in general. Like, after what has happened, I'd say in the 4.0 era,
yes,
post-pandemic.
Yes.
You know?
I'm focused on that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I went through a bit of a Fish dry spell. Like 3.0 was a bit dry for me.
Well, Fish,
I
saw a lot of shows in 3.0.
You did. I didn't travel as far.
There were definitely some ups and downs, you know? But as I said earlier, every show has its moment.
Absolutely.
I'm just looking for those shows where, you know, you're okay with them playing Shade.
Yeah.
Because your face needs to reform. It needs to, after it's been melted.
Completely melted off.
You know?
I agree.
but some of the most legendary things they've ever done were in 3.0. You know, Baker's Dozen, Chillin' Thrillin',
Yeah.
you know, Magnaball. Some of the best jams of ever were in 3.0.
Yeah, you're right.
And we can examine this another day, but like the length of a jam doesn't necessarily make it the greatest jam ever.
Agreed.
You know? And that takes us back to like, you know, the 2001 from Hollywood Bowl.
Oh my God.
It was only like, what, 11 or 12 minutes?
Yeah, but it just it was a moment.
It was just like
time.
It was
excellent.
Pure joy. Like everybody who was there who'd never even heard of 2001 before or had seen 2001 50 times, it does the same thing every time, but that one was...
It was a special one.
It was a good one.
So like, okay, we got Trey. Okay, these guys are listening to each other. They've always been champions of listening, but like I'm seeing so much listening going on. There was times when Paige would be playing a little ditty, and then like all of a sudden, you know, Trey's echoing it back, you know, or Mike would take something on, right? And then Trey's following along, and like they're playing with each other so much. And we saw Trey and Mike kind of face off against, you know, kind of like play with each other, like look at each other and kind of do like a little back and forth. Dude, Fishman, man, I was saying all weekend, you know, the hardest working man in show business, he just is back there trucking, you know, an absolute freight train of a machine all weekend long.
He's the MVP.
100% the MVP, right? He's just there. It's just like, it's the set. In so many ways, it's the backdrop of Fish. I mean, obviously,
yeah,
it's the drums, but like,
his playing is so complex.
Oh gosh,
that I know we did find something, but like it's nearly impossible to find a mistake.
Well, that's why I was surprised
that Fishman can actually make, because like he is like the wizard of covering his own tracks.
100%.
Because everything he does is
flawless
on the rhythm.
The only part I think of the whole weekend where Fishman got out over his ski, the first little bit of Bowie, right?
Didn't go on for a while.
He did. Yeah, I mean, every time he brought that back, that was was
it actually wrong, or was there like an issue with his snare drum?
I'm not saying it was wrong. I'm just saying it was different.
It was different.
And I don't know if it like
didn't sound right.
It'll lock for me. It'll lock in for me. He was kind of like out ahead of them a bit, right? He was kind of like, there was extra drums and he was a little out ahead, but like that is, I mean, we're talking about 9 hours of music and we're talking about 1 minute of like possibly maybe something that didn't work for one guy in the audience.
But that's the thing.
That's it.
Well, that's the thing that I'm saying is like Fishman is so complex.
Ugh.
Like the rhythms that he's throwing down
I know.
Are so everywhere and all encompassing that if he was to make a mistake, don't hear it.
Right, because he's just like on it.
Because he's just like it's happening in a split second and then he's correcting himself, or he's like, that wasn't a mistake, I was just improvising, man. And I'm not a drum expert, you know. In my experience, it's very hard to pick apart what he does.
You said it, MVP. Like he is the MVP.
Yeah.
He just laid it down all weekend long like an atomic clock. Freight train, did not stop. He was all over the kit, left, right, center, feet go everywhere.
And he's got those new samples.
Everywhere, all at once. He's got samples he likes to toss out there. I mean, that guy, he's at the top of his game right now, too. I mean, we're talking about Trey and how he's managed to, like, carve out this guitar tone in 4.0. Fishman's insane. And, like, let's talk about Gordon for a minute, because, like, that new bass is sweet. It's melodic. It's different. It's got less attack, you know? Like, when you hear the, like, Down with Disease or, like, a Wolfman's, like, there's less attack on this new bass. It's definitely rounder, smoother, more melodic, but he's all up and down it, and he's playing it. He's having fun. I thought, like, I give him absolutely 5 stars for this new bass situation that he's throwing down.
You know, I didn't notice a huge difference.
Okay.
You know, again, like the rhythm section of this band is locked in pretty tight.
I know.
Of all, the superficial criticisms or praise that they get, it goes to Paige and Trey usually, because they're the ones who are carrying
they're the eccentricities, right?
Noticeable eccentricities of every song that they play.
Absolutely.
Are coming from them on their side of the stage, as opposed to Mike and Fishman, who are just like holding it together and providing the bass line for the other two to bring in the melody. So it's noticeable when they go over the top,
right,
and they go to an exceptional place. But for the most part, I'm always, and I think most people are listening to what Trey and Paige are doing, and you can hear what Mike and Fishman are doing, of course, but it's just like they are there providing the bass line. They're providing the ground,
the foundation
for the other two to go to places. But when Mike does do stuff, whether it's during like Possum or funky stuff, like the Howling.
I love it.
Or Sneakin' Sally, or Haley's, or, the one that you really get Mike in his Boogie On Reggae Woman, where he's just like throwing that line down and you're just like, oh my God, this is the greatest thing ever right now.
I spent a little bit, because of the bass thing, I was like really kind of trying to tune in. I was just more like aware, I was like, oh, what's Mike doing? Like, I want to just like zone in on that for a minute. Because I agree, like I'm a Page guy, obviously Pay and Trey are up there, making all the feels, right? And it's like Fishman's in the back just like laying down an absolute colossal wall of sound out of the back, But I was really dialing in on Mike, and like he's over at his tech stack a lot now. I just noticed, he's definitely working on things, dialing things in. He's got his pedals, he's got all his, woozy wuzzlers over there. And I did notice him kind of going back and forth. And, I watched that reel he did about his new bass and how he's even got that little piece that he can put in to go up even higher.
Like keep that in like his little change pocket, his jeans.
No idea.
Like flips it out and slides it in there when he needs it.
But he's definitely like, he's working around this new bass, right? I mean, he's been playing the modulus for 25 years, right? And he's like bringing something new in, and he's like trying to, work. He's working overtime almost, is what I'm trying to say, right? He's like in there going like, hey, I'm doing something new. I'm taking a risk. Fish takes risks. That's what we love.
Yeah.
I was focused on Mike. I'm really curious about what he was doing. There's obviously the thrill of that. More patient, more complex, more considered, more wise. There's wisdom in this music that there wasn't 25, 30 years ago, right? There was an enthusiasm of a bunch of 20-year-old kids ripping as fast as they could on all their instruments and making all sorts of crazy noises. Now there's like a real wisdom to everything that they're doing together, individually and together.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think these moments, like Mexico, 3 nights at the Hollywood Bowl, 7 nights at MSG or whatever's happening this summer, like, it allows them to kind of settle into it and let it like come together in a way that's experimental for them, but like in a different way. I'm really enjoying these little mini runs. Feels more special to me than the, hey, we're at Jones Beach and like now we're at Atlantic City and like now we're at, which I guess they're not residences, but they're nice. Like they stretch their wings a little bit.
For sure. That's why I said, like, it's way better to go for a 3-night run somewhere than catch a single night. It's not something new necessarily. I mean, they've been doing 3-night runs in a lot of places for a long time. Atlanta, Chicago, New York, not many on the West Coast, except for San Francisco. But I wonder, like, most of the 3-night runs that they've done on the West Coast have been at Bill Graham.
Mm-hmm.
And do they do those 3-night runs because it's such a small venue, so more people can have the opportunity to see them? Or do they do it because they want to spend 3 or 4 nights in San Francisco? And, I mean, Bill Graham's, I don't know how big it is. It's maybe like 10,000 people. It's tiny. Maybe less. actually. And, you know, they were going there for a long time. That was their mini residency.
The overlap over 3 days is like got to be pretty high percentage, right? People,
Well, that's what I'm
people
saying.
there night 1, night 2, night 3. Like, sure, you get a different mix of people in on different nights, but like this band brings people across the country, so like it brings people to the same venue. There's nothing, you know.
I know.
You don't even have to like check out of your hotel room. It's really easy to go to 3 shows.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about what their mindset is behind
Yeah,
like a 3-night run in a certain place. Like they can sell them out.
you know, like they're older now and they have like other priorities, you know, whether it's like family or just like not having a crazy schedule and all these, you know, things that have at times over the years come out of balance, right, for individuals. And then, you know, really trying to put it back together and make sure it's working for everybody, you know, and that it's the right environment. And it's like doing 3 nights somewhere, doing like a little run is nice because people, you know, you don't have to drag your family around. You don't have to, you know, you can post up for like
Less work for the crew.
it's less work for the crew. It's less work for them, you know, like
Yeah.
flying into a place and flying out, not knowing even what city you're in, you know. And there's that old joke about rock and roll shows, like, what city are we in? And then they like yell it out. They're like, hello, St. Louis, you know, like
Yeah.
there must be some of that when you're on a crazy tour, right? Like, where are we? Like, what city are we even?
Yeah. But they haven't done that in a long time. I mean, they do that in the summer where they're going to play what, like 25
Yeah.
shows in 15 different places.
I know.
But that's also fun.
I think I'm just projecting and hoping that they had such a great time at the Hollywood Bowl that they decide to add it.
Lock it in.
Tentpole feature
They've already got their booking agent on the horn
on it.
calling up.
Yeah, they're printing the tickets already.
I hope so.
2024.
I mean, I can't see why they wouldn't. The only reason they wouldn't is like to build up the want for all the people who are there. Maybe they wouldn't come back again a year later. Maybe they need 2 years to really wet their beaks
Yeah.
and want it.
What do you think they're going to do at MSG this summer?
I don't know. I mean, there was all those rumors of the Sweet 16
Yeah.
and cookies instead of donuts. And they still might do something, you know, fancy where they have a plan of a 7-night spectacular
Mm-hmm.
where they do no repeats again.
But there's been no rumors.
Not that I've heard.
Yeah.
You know, once they squash that 16-night hopeful situation, the expectations have kind of gone down.
I know, but 7 nights is a long run. Now, it's not 7 in a row. It's kind of 7 over.
It's spread out over like 10 days or 12 days.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll get Billy Joel coming out on stage with them. Maybe. Or maybe they'll go out with Billy Joel because I think he's playing one night in between. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something? Cover band joins Billy Joel. Yeah, I was just wondering, you know, because again, Hollywood Bowl is such a special time. And the Greek was so special, you know, 3 nights of the Greek. People loved it. People had a great time, right? They felt really treated to something nice.
Yeah, it was just so different, the experience. Those experiences were very different. It's like Hollywood Bowl, you could roll in there at 6:30
Mhm.
and
With your sushi.
with your sushi
Yeah.
or your sandwich
Yeah.
and your bottle of wine, you know, and just lax, lazy,
Mm-hmm.
hang out, you know, whereas like the Greek, you had to be there the whole fucking
Yeah, and you'd have your elbows out, you know, while you're waiting for your buddies and like constantly,
constantly.
like scenes taken.
Go wait in a bathroom line for 25 minutes, 30
Yeah.
minutes. It was still a great time. It was. You know, a GA show gives you the opportunity to congregate with a lot of people, but it was very difficult to hold down a spot for more than 2 or 4 people. Whereas like the Hollywood Bowl, same deal. It's hard to congregate, but not because it was free flowing. You can go wherever the hell you wanted.
They were letting, you know, like one of the cool thing about the garden is that they let people flow through pretty much. You know, I was with, you
The
know,
pole, you mean?
yeah, the garden boxes at the bowl.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
The only downside to it is because security was a little lax. I'm all for people coming to hang with their friends, but like the first night, the Friday night, there was a box next to us that had like 30 people in it. I'm exaggerating,
Yeah.
but like it was stuffed. And it wasn't really wasn't the issue. and I don't want to be that guy, but it was a bit of Chomp City, you know? It was a bit of like not 100% there for the music, kind of there for the party, like hanger-oners.
Yeah.
And I wasn't trying to let it get to me, but it's like, I just, it's like, this is a conversation you don't have to have at a concert because you have to yell at each other. And
But that happens everywhere.
I know, but it was driving.
Trompers at every concert.
Saturday and Sunday, I had no problem, but Friday was like the day that I just got it, and it was a bit rough.
What about the street scene outside the Hollywood Bowl? It was a lot of gas.
But people have been talking about that, it's just popping.
Somebody had a good plan to fill their pockets.
Saturated.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was saturated. It didn't really impede though. Like, you could get in, you could get out. Like, that's for dress, like, wasn't impeded. It's just like, there's no shakedown, but it was just like Balloon City up and down the whole block.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is,
it was like very concentrated as opposed to like when there's a giant lot.
Right, it's spread out.
It's much more spread out.
No, this was like every 17 feet.
Yeah.
It was kind of insane. The cool thing was, and you touched on it last week, is, there was like an after scene, right? Like little pockets of people were going all sorts of places. This bar, this restaurant, that restaurant, this after party, like.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, that's the difference between like run in Hollywood.
Right.
As opposed to like a run in Huntsville.
Right.
What are you going to go do in Huntsville?
Yeah. You're going back to your hotel.
Back to your hotel, hang out at the Motel 6.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a pool, where everybody's sitting around drinking their IPAs and hitting their bowls, which is nice sometimes after a show. You got your crew, guys are all hanging out, But comparing it to my experience, let's say last spring tour in Indiana, I'm not from Indiana. Didn't have a line on like what was really going down.
Yeah.
After the show, but the lot hung on for a while,
Yeah.
People hanging out in the lot and having a good time.
Yeah, those kind of shows, the lot's the party afterwards. It takes a while before, especially if they don't start clearing it out and moving people out.
Yeah. But most shows in a summer tour that are in an amphitheater that could be in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. A lot of amphitheaters these days are not in the heart of a city.
No, they're out.
They're kind of on the outskirts. Even Shoreline, is in the outskirts of nothing. Silicon Valley, there's nothing happening anywhere around there at night. I'm just trying to think of like Merriweather Post Pavilion, like nothing around there. Everybody's trucking out of there, driving drunk out of there, or to recongregate.
Yeah.
Pluses of playing in a nice big city, in the heart of a nice big city, in an amphitheater outdoors, doesn't exist in a lot of places. Chula is an incredible, beautiful amphitheater down in San Diego.
There's nothing there for miles.
There's nothing around for miles.
Yeah.
Santa Barbara, amazing, beautiful amphitheater, but nothing there for miles.
Yeah, you're kind of up.
I mean, you're in Santa Barbara, which is a cool little town.
Yeah.
But it's a sleepy town. You're not in Hollywood. The more I think about it, the more I reflect on the experience that was provided by playing at the Hollywood Bowl. When they play at MSG this summer, it'll be great, but they're indoors, which is probably a good thing.
Well, I was going to say, weather-wise,
in August, because there's ball sweat that is
99% humidity.
That is the humidity and the stank of the outdoors in Manhattan in the summer is overwhelming. But nightlife, there's things happening. There's, after parties and pre-parties and bars everywhere and activities for the whole family, But come back again. Do it all over.
Let's do it.
Yeah, flying high. Still recovering mentally and physically from the joy that we experienced at the Hollywood Bowl some days ago. Seems like we're never coming down.
Heartful.
We're going to hang on.
Yeah.
Am I going to re-listen to it a million more times? Probably not. I'm already thinking about like what I really want to listen to now is I'm going to check the jam chart for 2001.
Listen to some gnarly
And I'm going to go listen to some gnarly 2001s. Because I want to know, be reminded of what they've done.
And compare.
Okay. I'll get back to you on that.
It's good homework. We'll hear about it next week.
All right.
Bye.